I know that we had a post on IG like a few months ago where I was like, hey, this is I wrote it, but it was from one of our conversations that was just why we only work with natural athletes. And like y'all said, it used to be a thing that like, oh shit, someone's on the gear, by like they'd get canceled. But it's never been like that with us. It's always been from a place of like, we want to be good at what we do as coaches, and we want to be in control of the things that we know. And if someone is taking banned substances, it changes things in your body, and we don't exactly know those things, and our coaches aren't as comfortable working with it. I mean, that it's kind of it, right?
Yeah, it's in my opinion, it's very much a healthy respect for what we don't know.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it boils down to, because yeah, you're right. I mean, I've seen people's changes, and I've seen in people that I know, like I've worked with before, or that I know fairly well, and just through training with them, but I've never necessarily worked with them. And so these people, how they tick, how they work, and kind of how their bodies work. And just all of a sudden things just don't make sense anymore. It's like the way that they did work and the way that that they did work, they don't work that way anymore. It just doesn't make sense. And so why I don't need to try to add it, make it harder than it already is. You know what I mean? To add something and a variable that I'm not even familiar with, to try to make sense of that, or figure out, oh, okay, well, that makes sense, and this is why that, and this is why that. I can't even really start to even decipher all of that,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's basically a healthy respect of what we don't know is the bottom line.
Yeah. And it's hard because when we posted that or whatever, a lot of people are like, hey, I respect you for staying in your lane. And then there's some people that are like, yeah, like, because, you know what I mean? Because like, you are the good guys. And it's like, well, it wasn't supposed to be that way. It wasn't like a stance on whether this is right or wrong. It's just like, hey, there's going to be better coaches for you who are familiar with that, because we're just not. Everything is polarizing, y'all.
Yeah.
Well, we humans like it that way. It's way easier. You don't have to really sit down and think about it. But it's not a fair approach. And I mean, I'll admit I've had times where I have seen it, like, it's like, oh, that's that other side, But I think a lot of it was just marked off, perhaps running into certain individuals who were on that side, who I was not necessarily impressed by, right? So, and then time goes on, you meet more people, and you're like, man, like, you're super dope. You're super dope. When I went to the Arnold last time, I was the only natty in the cage.
Yeah.
I was like, thank you guys. I got invited to the barbecue. So,
oh, congrats! You're part of the animal pack.
Yeah, they gave me a shirt and everything.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm so proud. Proud we had representation there from 3D.
Yeah, just creating bridges. But yeah, I've met a lot of fantastic people on both sides. To tell you the truth. And then the same way. And then time goes on, and I've seen natural guys who literally they still think that way, where like that whole side is fucked up.
It's the dark side.
And I'm like, please, like I'm not with this dude. Like I'd much rather kick it with my boy with the traps over there. Like it's yeah. It doesn't necessarily what you do with your body. Doesn't necessarily imply who you are as a person. And I wish more people understood that, because again, like one thing we have in common is we're all like super passionate about this.
Yeah.
Like at the end, we have way more to like talk about than to argue about. And I mean, like since I've moved here, because like back in Sacramento, like we had like that natty contingency. Like that gym is like literally the posters of basically everyone up on that wall. Right? They're almost all natural bodybuilders.
Yeah.
And it came here, and it wasn't that way. And then like word gets around, oh, it's that Natty dude. And I think the first few months, first few years, like people had these misconceptions, like, oh, he's like judgy, you know, he thinks he's holding. And then they get to know me, and it's like, oh, okay, like you're cool, you're dope, you like this stuff, and we have way more in common than we actually don't at the end of the day, you know. Here we are both bitching about the chicken prices, you know.
Well, it's funny too, like that says more about their insecurities than your, like when you're like, oh, he's natural, so he must think that we're pieces of shit because we're not. And it's like, you never said that. But it's the same as like Brad likened it to like being a vegetarian. Oh, so you think you're better than me? It's like, no, that's just what I want to do, bro.
Yeah. And I'm sure maybe they ran into bad reps for like our side. Maybe, you know, maybe they told a few of their close friends that I've decided to do this, and the response was, you know, so on top of maybe what they've experienced, it's like, and then you have this dude that according to most people who are ignorant to this, he's doing it like the right way, you know? So, because I mean, I've been on that side too, where it's like, you know, forget you NPC guys with your frosted tips and your rented convertible, you know, like these like stereotypes I'm inventing in my head. So yeah, but you know.
I like how I can visually see your enhanced like avatar. That's nice.
In another dimension, like that.
What's his name, do you think? Actually, don't do it because someone will be named it. Don't give him a name. But I can think of 3 we'll talk about after this. 3 names. It's got to be one of them.